So the next cross is going to be about multiple alleles, and really the only example of multiple alleles that you guys are going to be expected to know is going to deal with human blood typing. And the reason why this is called multiple alleles is because in the case of this particular trait, out in the gene pool, there are 3 alleles instead of 2, which is what we've been studying most often, is the fact that there have only been 2 alleles for every trait. Well, in this case, we have a trait with more than 2. That occur in the gene pool. So for human blood typing, as I said, there are 3 alleles. The 3 alleles are an allele that codes for type A blood, an allele that codes for type B blood, and an allele that codes for type O blood. When we're talking about blood typing, what we're really referring to is a surface protein on the red blood cell that deals with the ability to recognize self from not self. So when we have a particular combination of alleles, we express a particular blood type. So the alleles that code for the type A is going to be represented by a capital I with an A in the upper corner. This tells me that this is the allele that codes for type A. For type B, it's another capital I with a B. Okay, so both of these alleles exhibit dominant tendencies, and your allele that codes for type O, which happens to be the absence of any of these surface proteins on the red blood cell, is a recessive allele, which we will represent with a lowercase I. So this leaves us with a number of possible genotypes. So our genotype combinations could be, I could have an individual who is homozygous type A, heterozygous A. We could have homozygous for the B allele. We could have heterozygous for the B allele. You could also have an individual who has one of each, an A and a B allele. And then lastly, you could have someone who is homozygous recessive. So in the case of that, we get particular phenotypes that arise. If you are someone who is homozygous for the A allele or heterozygous for the A allele, you have type A blood. If you have 2 alleles for type B, or you're heterozygous for type B, then guess what? You have type B blood. If you have one allele that's A, one allele that's B, this exhibits a codominant inheritance pattern, and you result by having both proteins on the surface of the red blood cell, and you get type AB blood. And if you're homozygous recessive, well, you don't have any, leaving you with type O blood. So when you have multiple alleles, that allows out in the gene pool for there to be a number of different genotypes, where up until this point we'd really been looking at only 3 genotypes out there. Now we have 6. So let's look at a cross. Let's say we have a man who has type O blood. Marries a woman with type AB blood. Let's give her AB blood. The question then becomes, what is the chance they will have a child with type B blood? And we'll add in a second question: what is the chance a kid will have the same blood type as dad? So for this again, like any other cross, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say it, but like any other cross, you're going to be able to do this all the same way. You start the same way, you carry out the problem the same way. It's just how you interpret it. So we got to figure out the parents' genotypes. So if the man has type O blood, he's going to have a particular genotype, and if I look above, I can see that that genotype is going to be little I, little I. Now, his wife is going to have AB blood, so when I look above there, she is codominant, and her genotype is IAIB. Dad here can only give one possible gamete. If I split that, it's only a little I, whereas Mom here could give an IA, or she could give an IB. So when I set up my Punnett square, again, one parent across the top, the other parent down the side. And when I look at my result, we'll answer the first question over here. What is the chance that they will have a child with type B blood? And if I look at that, the answer there for type B is 50% chance. Okay, so that's for the first question. We have that. The second question, what is the chance a kid will have the same blood type as dad? Well, if I look above, I've got dad at type O. So when I look at my combinations, I have to say, is there any chance that they're going to have type O blood? And the answer to that is, will they have type O? Nope. 0% chance, because Mom does not have the recessive allele to contribute. So if she doesn't have the recessive allele, Dad doesn't have the can only give one. Without having those two, you can't have type O blood. So there you have it. Multiple alleles, monohybrid cross, and yeah, good luck.